Hi everybody, it's me again, Miko. I just wanted to check in. I haven't been on in a while because I haven't really had the space to be on or the time to be on. Everything's been crazy. So a couple of things have happened, and nothing construction-wise actually. I have gotten into a kind of stalemate between me and management, and we're contemplating suing, and management is trying to avoid us right now because we have some actual big claims going on with HPD. And I have some issues with HPD as well, so all of that's going on. That aside, I got a new gig. I have been hired as a PR rep for, well, let's not get into that because no. But all of that aside, oh goodness, it's just good to see you guys. It's good to be here. In the middle of packing. For me, I'm in the middle of packing so I can go to Alabama for the gig. I have an orientation thing. The other thing, I'm also packing for my son because he is moving onto his boat. That is right, people. My kid got his boat, and he is moving onto the sea, and he wants to be in the Bahamas by winter. But before that, he wants to take us down to maybe North Carolina or something and hang out with some of my family. And that being said, I'm hoping that my North Carolina family will be around for me to hang out with. I'm not sure how or when or even if that's going to happen because I have to see what's going on with Alabama first, and that's going to take precedence because it's my new gig and I kind of don't want to fuck it up. Oh my goodness. Okay, so also I have been dieting, not entirely successfully, but I've been dieting and I've been exercising a whole bunch. That has been a little more successful. I'm losing a little bit of weight because, let's backtrack a little bit for those who don't know. I've had a lot of surgeries, medical need surgeries, in my breast area and in my ovaries and uterus. So I kind of been, the trunk part of my body has had major overhauls going on, and so I'm not quite happy with how it looks. And I've spoken to my doctors, and I am now next month going to book an appointment with my plastic surgeon, and we're kind of going to rebuild my body as to how it was before all the damage has been done. And so we're going to fix me back into my 32-year-old body. Yay! Which is great because I'm 47, and since nobody believes me anyway, bringing my body back into shape, everyone's gonna sit there and be like, fuck you, you're 27. And I'm gonna sit there and be like, yeah, the 27-year-old's my kid. Yeah, I love doing that, by the way. I love that people do not believe my age. I love showing my ID off and being like, yeah, that's me. I have also, in other news, picked up my guitar recently, and I've been practicing again. My hands are coming back into some type of use. I'm trying to think what else. I want to let you guys know everything, and I'm drawing a blank. I hate doing that. Oh, my neighbor and I are kind of sitting here and practicing guitar together, so I'm kind of having having a guitar buddy, sitting down and having someone who wants to learn with you it makes it easier to actually practice guitar on a more regular basis. And since she's right next door, and I can hit her up and be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna practice today, what are you doing? You want to come by? And just leave my door unlocked, and she'll come in, and we'll sit down together and we'll practice and maybe watch some Marty Schwartz or something, and try learning a song or two. My practice, however, is the scales. I'm trying to really learn my fretboard, and I'm trying to really work on my stretch, which, honestly, when I first started learning guitar, I'm 4'11", folks. My hands are not very big. Let me see. Here we go. My hands are not very big. So, okay, my phone. So you have a frame of reference, right? My phone. My hand, this way. Okay, my hand is about the size of my phone. That's how tiny my hand is, right? My fingers are not very long at all. And so when I started practicing on a regular normal size guitar, I couldn't stretch my fingers at all for the, notes. And it was driving me nuts. And I really, I thought maybe it was a short people thing. Maybe short people just can't play guitar. Maybe people with tiny hands cannot play guitar. And then I watched this 7-year-old kid blow me away, and he played the blues like Buddy Guy, yeah. And I felt ashamed. And after my carpal tunnel surgery, I kind of felt embarrassed, and I felt low, and I couldn't pick up my guitar. Even after healing up for the most part, I couldn't pick up my guitar. I could cook again, I could clean again, I could type and write things again, but I couldn't pick up my guitar, because I genuinely felt that it would be harder now to start over again, because I would have to start from scratch, or so I thought. And it's like what people say, it's like riding a bike. You get back on it, and all of a sudden it's just like, whatever. And the stretch that I had before was still there, and I'm able to work on that now, and I'm almost able to go all 5 frets. Well, 4 frets, sorry. And that's amazing to me. I'm really psyched about the progress that I've made by not making progress. Also, I'm keeping a diet diary for my nutritionist, who I get to go see tomorrow. I've never done that before. I've kept progress diaries. Exercised today. I went to the park today, that sort of thing, things that I did to get out of my depression and that sort of thing. So my diet diary, let me show you real quick. It's a little bit filled with not just things that I've eaten, but I have a tally mark of how many bottles of water I've drank that day, or the types of exercise that I have done that day, or things that I have, I even put down that I picked up my guitar on the 26th for the first time. Yeah, it's 30th now, so I've only been practicing again for 4 days. The type of food that I've eaten, the types of ingredients that are in it, because I want my nutritionist to know. I substitute foods because I can't eat beef. So I have, what I've substituted what with, and the type of preparation, so that she knows, I don't fry my food, I water simmer. So these are things that I've incorporated into the list, as well as let's see, yesterday, 5:30 p.m. I had green tea and matcha. I had, at 6:30, leftover roast pork. At 8 o'clock, I had mixed berry and hibiscus with lemon, cinnamon, and honey. Oh, and I have a note. Throat won't subside, nor will cough. Using my asthma pump today, and should I close all my windows? I put that in there for my doctor, but not really. For me to remember to ask my doctor if I should close my windows, given that I am allergic to, everything. My seasonal allergies are off the fucking hook. So, and it's even worse because I have so many damn plants in my house. I have over 130. So, I'm probably allergic to half of the plants I even own. I want to talk to my doctor about that as well. And so That's all been going on. But these are the types of notes that I take down for my diet diary. And I don't know if any of you guys do this, but I think it's really been helpful for me to keep this diary. One, because when I want to indulge myself, knowing that I'm on a diet, and I'm sitting there going, well, I could buy that cake, and then I think, well, I'd have to write that down in my diet diary. I don't want my nutritionist to see that. So I changed my mind really, really quickly, because now I know I have to document it. And so it really does help me a lot. It also helps me with keeping track of my own exercise routines, which I forgot to put down for today. And yesterday. Shit. Okay, well, I'm going to have to get on that. That aside, I'm also thinking of doing a video in which I do a reading from my book, because there are a couple of things that I wanted to do, and one of them was to promote my book a little bit, and I haven't had a chance to do that almost at all, because when my book first came out, there was some drama, and someone thought some kind of way felt some kind of way about my book, and they spread hideous and heinous rumors about my book and how I was a rat and I was snitching on people or whatever the case may be. And that's just simply not true. My book is about me and the crazy hijinks of my life, the craziness of my life, and the idiotic. Okay, so here's the thing. There's a really stupid moment in my life, and I've got to say this because I'm ridiculous, and my ridiculousness has passed on to my children, and so ridiculous. Okay, this is. So one day, two of my sons were living here. One of them was in my living room was partitioned. I have a 2-bedroom apartment. One of them lived in one bedroom, and I had the other bedroom, and the other one had the partitioned half of the living room. And we're just kind of, because I won't allow them to hit each other or throw anything bigger than a penny at one another. So we have these, because we're morons, we have these jars of pennies that we will like start throwing 2 or 3 of them at each other when we're really, really annoyed at each other. So at this point, this day, we started just throwing handfuls of pennies at each other. It became an all-out penny war. My house is covered in pennies at that time. So one of them, both of them at some point were throwing pennies directly at my bedroom door, because I ran into my room, slammed my bedroom door, and all I heard was up against my door, pennies, 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 for like 2 minutes. And then it stopped, and there was silence. And now when my boys are silent, I fear for my life and sanity. And so I had to use the bathroom, which was right outside my bedroom door at the time, because I had the smaller bedroom. And I opened the door with great caution, and I peeked out, and I looked around. Nothing. I looked down, and I saw this massive decoration in front of my door in pennies, and it was beautiful. And I thought, well, my kid made this artistic thing, and I got it. It was a reference back to Empire Records when Johnny Whitaker's character, he glued quarters to the floor, and Warren, I can't remember the kid's name, asked him, what the fuck are you gluing them to the floor for? And AJ, that was his character. AJ turns around and says, I don't feel I have to explain my art to you. And so I looked down at the floor, and I was like, wow, this is a beautiful piece of art. And so we left it there. And each of us, when they would walk into my room, they'd literally step over it. I would step over it when I was on my way out of my room, and that's how we kept it there, and it was intact, literally for about 2 months. 2 months. I shit you not. This is how ridiculous we are, because it was a piece of art, and we left it there. It wasn't glued to the floor. It was just pennies lying on my floor right there. And a couple of different times we said, maybe we should glue them to the floor like that because it's a really cute design. And I was like, why the fuck for? We're all stepping over it. We're all respecting the art and leaving it in its place. None of us are touching the art. None of us are disturbing the art. And so one day I'm coming home with my aunt from one of my doctor's appointments. And at this time in my life, my stalker, psychotic cunt that calls herself my sister because we share blood and parents, she was stalking me, and she was breaking into my apartment and stealing things and doing things, moving things around, just all around making me feel as if I was insane. And I did think I was insane for a really long time. Now, we came home that day, and I told her to stop. I told my aunt to stop in the living room. I turned on the lights so that we could look and see in the hallway the piece of art that my son had placed there. And I turned it on. I was like, do you see it? She goes, the pennies strewn across the floor. I walked over to see what the fuck. And there indeed were pennies strewn all over my floor, as if someone had slid through the pennies. Now, the only 3 people that had the keys to my house at the time were my 2 boys and me. Yeah. So me still being in denial about this psychotic cunt coming into my home on a semi-regular basis, at least 2 or 3 times a week, she would convince my neighbors that she had lost her keys or left her keys somewhere, or whatever the case may be. She kept convincing my neighbor with the fire escape, the adjoining fire escape, to let her come in through the window because she locked herself out, was the excuse. And my neighbor would tell me this all the time. Drove me nuts. Well, he told me this after the fact. He told me that it happened all the time. Wow. He told me I should get a new set of keys for my sister because, you know, she has to keep going in through my window. And I'm like, oh, so it's you letting her in. Wonderful. But I didn't tell my neighbors what was going on either. So I changed my locks, and I crazy glued razor blades into the windows, like onto the window frame, so that like when she would put her fingers in to push the window up, she would cut herself, which almost happened to me when I locked myself out and I had to break in through the same window. But then I remembered where I put the razor blades, and so I had to like space my arms out further. Ridiculous. Our family is ridiculous. My family is ridiculous. My household is ridiculous. But these are the things that I kind of wanted to read out on video, you know what I mean? And kind of like put it out there as promo for my book. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I should talk about, maybe I should read from the more dramatic. I don't really want to read about the more dramatic shit in my life. I've lived it, and I wrote about it, and I don't want to talk about it again. But I do want to talk about some of the more ridiculous things in my life because they were fun, and they were things that I lived through that were hilarious. And I don't mind talking about those things because it's funny, you know. So yeah, I'm putting thought into that. I just haven't gotten around to putting anything into motion for that yet. And I don't have much in the way of promoting for that yet, and I don't have very much in the way of funds for a promotion campaign right now. But this PR gig hopefully will help me with all of that, and that's kind of why I picked it up. It's also because I also picked it up because it's very much a flexible schedule, and I can do a lot with that. I'd rather work a job that has a very flexible schedule so I can kind of like move around and do what I need to do in my life and with my other interests, because I have other projects, but they're kind of like juggling their way into limbo right now because, well, one, plague, and two, since the plague and the recession, a lot of us are kind of spiraling away from one another right now. Not because we're avoiding each other, it's just life is kind of getting in the way for all of us, and so it's becoming an issue. And we can't work together when we're not together, and we can't do things together or with each other if we're not on the same page or we're not in touch. And it's not that we're doing it on purpose at all, by any means. It's just that life happens. And, you know, like John Lennon said, life happens when you're out there trying to plan it, or something like that. Like, life is what happens when you're out there trying to plan it. Some shit like that. I don't know. I don't remember. It was a quote that kept being thrown at me for other reasons. Figure out if that's everything I wanted to talk about before I let you guys go. Not that you guys actually sit and listen to the entire ramble, but I want to make sure that I've gotten everything off of my chest. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, the Johnny Depp trial. Finally, my future ex-husband-to-be is free of that psycho. And maybe one day he will realize that clearly he was meant to be with me. Talk soon. Bye.